Hello, everyone. Your humble recovering CI officer is back. We've had a bunch of challenges recently. And of course, as usual, I've been under unprecedented attack against me for my exposés. And, that's to be expected. After all these years, the CI is going through proxies trying to attack my credibility. And that's why on kevinship.com, I put all my credentials, all the evidence, all the facts and everything out there, knowing that is going to happen. So it's just something that you have to endure. I believe I'm called to do this. I don't always feel like it. Most of the time I don't. But people need to know that there is a monstrous, complex agency that has circumvented our constitutional form of government. So what I'm going to do here, everyone, is I'm going to begin a deep and complex revelation on the CIA and its massive tentacles throughout our government, throughout our media, and throughout social media in Silicon Valley. Now, the CIA is forbidden by law from having any sort of operations domestically in the United States, but the CIA, being the deceptive organization that it is, it's very craftily got around that by infiltrating Silicon Valley organizations like Google. And I'll be getting into each and every one of these in detail as we go through each one of these segments. But the CIA has gotten into Silicon Valley, thousands of companies, to include Google and Facebook. They are now operating their propaganda campaigns through that venue. So they've gotten around that block. Those activities are illegal. Those activities are unconstitutional. And that's where your humble, meek, and mild correspondent comes in, I guess. Anyway, let's get into some of this. This is for you guys and you guys only. I'm not presenting this publicly yet. Eventually, I'll be coming out. COVID has kind of kept me here in the Ascent Studios, located somewhere deep in the southeastern United States. So I haven't been speaking publicly. I will be doing that very soon when I give an expansive revelation on the shadow government and the CIA. And so that is coming. But right now, I am just going to be providing blocks and snippets of this for you all and you all only. And we'll do about 20-minute segments or so as we go through this and build the picture, the shocking picture of the circumvention of our constitutional form of government. So let's look at these. Let's talk about it. I want to specifically go into this. We are to support our government as Americans, as citizens. If you have a biblical perspective, the Bible, especially the New Testament, commands us to support our government. And thank God for us, we have a constitutional form of government, the greatest form of government ever created in human history. And frankly, the foundation of this constitutional government has been on the Bible and the New Testament. That is simply a fact. And of course, one of the reasons why what I call the dark left wants to destroy any semblance of Christianity in this country, a biblical teachings worldview, because that is the underpinning of our Constitution. And there is a Marxist movement in our country right now to dismantle our very constitutional way of life. So we support our constitutional form of government and the three branches: the executive branch, the White House, of course, Congress, there's the Capitol building, and the Supreme Court of the United States. All three of these branches, in brilliant fashion, have been designed as a check and balance on each other that serve we the people. It is a remarkable form of government that has withstood all kinds of problems and issues and crises and attacks throughout over 200 years. And within a mere 200 years plus, the advances in this country are nothing short of miraculous. There's a problem, and that is this: the CIA has circumvented all three branches of our government. And I'm going to be chipping away at this one fact at a time as we go through probably several weeks as I unveil the expanse of the CIA's control on our government, on our news media, and on our culture. Harry Truman said this. He reluctantly created the CIA, which began operational in 1947. He very reluctantly created the CIA 2 years after the CIA had been formed, had gotten out of control, were secretly bringing Nazis into the United States to work for the CIA, and on and on and on. Harry Truman said this, quote, "There is something about the way the CIA has been functioning that is casting a shadow on our historic position of freedom, and I feel we need to correct it," unquote. That was an op-ed in the Washington Post, which was deleted 3 days later, because as I will show you as we go through this series, that the Washington Post has been directly connected to the CIA, going all the way back to Allen Dulles and its founding and up until today. It is a propaganda paper. Now, what's ironic, you guys, is this. Harry Truman, Harry S. Truman, his name is Harry Ship, with 2 P's, Ship Solomon Truman. And it appears that I am a distant relative of Harry Ship Solomon Truman. I believe Ship was his, I believe that was his mother's name. He included his mother and father's lineage in his middle name. And isn't it ironic that decades later, I come out to expose in detail the criminal, illegal, and unconstitutional activities of the CIA, starting with my book, From the Company of Shadows. So it's just one of those ironic parts of history, I guess. All right, moving on. I want to show you this graphic. Here you have CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, where I spent my life and my career as an officer. And we see this massive building, and we see kind of its overt surface level existence. But what we don't see is the unbelievable massive iceberg of control and complexity behind the CIA. It is so huge, it is so massive, it's going to take me several weeks to unveil each aspect of it one step at a time. I want to show you this graphic just to give you an image of the expanse of the CIA. Now, shadow government. And the CIA is a central node of the shadow government. I define the shadow government as the illegal secret intelligence agencies that usurp function outside our Constitution, the CIA being the central node of the shadow government. And you all have seen my lectures about the difference between the deep state and the shadow government. So I'm not going to go into that here. But the CIA itself manipulates all the other intelligence branches, despite the fact that the Director of National Intelligence has been created. The CIA is still running the show. It controls multiple defense and intelligence corporations, also known as the military-industrial complex. It controls them through the power of its contracts, through the power of the secrecy attached to those contracts, and we are talking trillions of dollars, trillions of dollars. CIA manipulates presidential political decisions. A very good case in point was the George H.W. Bush vice presidency, then presidency. George H.W. Bush was a longtime CIA operative. As vice president, I think much of which was behind the knowledge of then President Ronald Reagan, George Bush as vice president was engaging in CIA operations from the White House, most notably the Iran-Contra affair. Now, I was in the CIA then, and I saw that, and it was a direct circumvention. It was criminal, it was illegal activity done without the knowledge of Congress. It has the power to start wars. The torture program, which is abominable. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, there's more to the torture program than you were being told. They were not just torturing very vetted and known terrorist leaders. It was more than that, and it was not just waterboarding. I have had testimony from a person actually involved in the torture program, and frankly, it was disgusting and inhuman. The drone program, the president's executive kill list, where based on a behavioral profile only, the CIA can send drones in to take out this so-called target. 8 times that target happened to be in wedding parties, and everyone in the wedding party was killed. Didn't hear that in the mainstream media, did you? Well, there's a reason for that. CIA is engaged in 80 coups overseas, multiple false flag operations. The Gulf of Tonkin, starting the Vietnam War, is a prime example of that. And there are others. And the CIA has clearly engaged in drug running for decades. Does this sound like a constitutional organization to you? Absolutely not. Covert operations created with no congressional approval, behind Congress's back, and many times behind the President of the United States' back. The CIA, the military-industrial complex, and what I call the secret industrial intelligence complex, made up of Lockheed Martin and SAIC and others that do the spying for the CIA, these are unelected officials. We didn't vote for them. We don't even know about the majority of them and what they're doing. The average salary of a military-industrial complex CEO is about $27 million a year. So billions and billions of dollars are flowing through this without any of us even seeing it. It manipulates Congress with secrecy by blacking out documents, withholding documents from Congress that Congress demands because they are too secret and the congressmen don't have the necessary clearance. That's how they do it. And also, Congress has control, supposed control over the CIA through the budget. However, the CIA very cunningly has made its budget secret from Congress. The billions and billions of dollars that the CIA spends on these things are behind the back of Congress. Congress does not have access, and sure as can be, we the American people have no idea of the CIA's budget because they have made it secrecy. I call this, if you've read my book, the tyranny of secrecy. It's the new tyranny, where this agency can operate impunity behind the cloak of secrecy. Most of the time, secrecy results in tyranny. Most of the time, secrecy evolves into corruption. Most of the time, secrecy becomes a tyrannical form of operations circumventing our government. Now, the CIA manipulates the judiciary also by the use of the state secrets privilege. If you have my book, From the Company of Shadows, I get into the state secrets privilege in detail and how it is used to silence the judiciary, especially regarding lawsuits against the CIA for illegal spying, the destruction of whistleblowers, and other things. The CIA will coerce the Congress, the CIA will coerce the judiciary, and they will shut the case down with impunity with a simple decision. Judges have come out, shame on them, and said, well, we have no expertise on national security or the CIA, so we're just going to defer to the CIA's move to invoke the state secret privilege. This is how the CIA and the NSA shut down the domestic spying program revealed by Edward Snowden. This is how they shut it down, by invoking the state secrets privilege and completely stopping our third branch of government, the judiciary. And the coups and the various operations that the CIA has done since its inception have resulted in the death of 7 million people. Does this sound like a good part of government to you? Obviously not. Now, the last part, and I get into this in great deal as we go through this block by block, the CIA, I call it Operation Mockingbird 2.0. The CIA has tremendous influence over what I call the state-controlled news media. The CIA has a direct influence over the mainstream media. You wonder why we're seeing such obvious lies, obvious twisting of information? Well, there's a reason for that. Here is the massive secrecy complex that has been created since 1947. We've got, of course, the massive Central Intelligence Agency. We've got the National Security Agency, which is a huge organization involved in spying, and we caught them spying on Americans. It involves the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, which, by the way, everybody, created Google Earth for Google. That's right. The intelligence system created Google Earth that can reach down and read the license plate on your vehicle. Lastly, the National Reconnaissance Office. This is the agency that engages in the entire covert satellite intelligence program, including satellites put up there to use and manipulate Google Earth and which can spy on all of us and does. This is how huge it is. This is trillions of our taxpayer dollars that we know nothing about, and this is how big the monster is. It has created a global digital surveillance order now in our country and in the world. And you could call this a global surveillance state. This is getting more alarming almost as the months pass now, as we see what this is doing. I'm going to get into this in great detail because it is very complex. It has multiple tentacles. It is very deep. But the CIA has a branch called CIA In-Q-Tel, and that is what it hides behind when it directly manipulates corporations like Google. As a matter of fact, the CIA was instrumental in the creation of Google, including funding grant money for its startup. Yes, you heard that right. I will get into that, as I mentioned, in greater detail. Satellite program operated by Google through the CIA, the National Reconnaissance Office, and NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence spy satellites, is able to reach down to the earth, as I mentioned a couple of times, and watch you walking down the street. Google is right now surveilling all of us. All of us as Americans. The CIA has penetrated through social media, as I said, from its beginning, from Google's creation in this part of it. And it is surveilling every single one of us right now as I speak. And as a matter of fact, Google and some of the other companies I'll be talking about, like Palantir, Google has created a second you, a digital form of you. They know everything about you. They know your habits. They know about your emails, your texts, your cell phone conversations. They know about your searches, your magazine subscriptions, and every single thing that you do and every part of your behavior is known by Google. It is the biggest, most massive, unimaginable surveillance system, obviously, in world history. And it is getting worse and worse and worse by the day. I'll get into a program where this is leading, in my opinion, in terms of surveillance and global surveillance and a global international order, as Susan Rice, Obama's national security advisor, called it, the new international order. That is where this is heading. And of course, I'll get into that as we break this down. All righty, everybody, as I wrap this up, of course, my book has been out there at great risk. And the CIA attempted to black out large swaths of information in my book dealing with the poisoning of my family and the attacks on me, all unclassified, all court papers and other things. The CIA blacked those out, which is illegal. It's a violation of the executive order issued by President Ronald Reagan. So what your humble, meek, and correspondent did is I built a code into from the company's shadows that exposes the CIA's blackouts and what they tried to hide. I answer to a higher authority. That's where my faith is. That's where my trust is. And it's a good thing because I've been under tremendous attack because of it. KevinShipp.com, my website. We're building that right now. And again, I'm just one person. I'm my own producer, director, filmer, researcher, and everything else. I don't have a staff. So this takes a lot of work for me, everyone, and that's why your support is so important. The KevinShipp.com is going to be an objective. It is a website created. It is bulletproof. I had a Fortune 500 web designer really help me out with that because he believes in my mission. And so we've got a lot of layers of security on there. I'm attacked within the United States. I'm attacked by Ukraine. I'm attacked by the Soviet Union. I'm attacked by China daily. And no one's been able to penetrate KevinShipp.com yet. When Google censors my programs, this is where I'll put them, KevinShipp.com. That's why it was created, to circumvent that. So KevinShipp.com, it's up and we're working on it. Subscribestar.com. And forgive me for the capital S there. Subscribestar.com. I created that just for people that don't like Patreon. Patreon has censored a couple of people. Whitney Webb is one, incredibly brilliant investigative journalist. Let's see, her site is Unlimited Hangout. It is brilliant. Patreon blocked her, unsubscribed her, and so a lot of people, including myself, are upset about that. Patreon has not blocked me yet, so I keep going because this is my only source of revenue. As you know, I sacrificed my pension with the CIA when I came out and blew the whistle. But you know, some things are more important. But anyway, subscribestar.com. I post the $5 tier information on Subscribestar, and we're growing it. But anyway, it is an alternative. I still am doing well on Patreon, at least for now. YouTube has blocked and removed several of my videos. There are still some that are up there, and they're good ones. So, you know, we're kind of still flying. But subscribestar.com is there for you if you're looking for an alternative. Twitter at Kevin_Ship. This is my Twitter account. I post sometimes daily revelations on the shadow government, deep state, and what they're doing in terms of circumventing our Constitution. I try my level best to stay away from personalities and people, and it is difficult sometimes, but I've got a new policy where I'm trying to stay away from people, individuals, and personalities and just focus on the machine. All right. I so appreciate, especially you all's prayers. That's what keeps me going. There have been times when this has worn me out, and I have wanted to quit several times. But the wonderful comments and prayers of you all out there are what keep me going. So please keep that up. Without that, I don't think I'd be here. Of course, I depend on my donors and patrons to keep me going. That is my sole source of information here, and helps me keep doing what I'm doing. So I'll keep doing it. And this is going to be dramatic, scary, as I unravel the layers of this thing. I don't know if this is going to be my last expose on the shadow government. This is going to go on for weeks, God willing. I'll be around for a while. That's in God's hands. So I appreciate y'all more than you know. Stay tuned. As we go through this, you will be the first to know. And we'll unpack this thing layer by layer. God bless you guys. Thanks for being with me.